Mention the name Bill Pulsipher, and baseball fans immediately think of the one-time Met phenom who never fulfilled some lofty expectations. But News 12 New Jersey's Joey Waller found a new Bill Pulsipher pitching right here in the Garden State.
I'm not surprised to be sitting here. This is something that I tried to gear up for my whole life, is to be a Major League Baseball player. And, you know, now that it's happened, I hope to just grab it and run with it.
That was Bill Pulsipher in 1995, then a brash fireballer who, along with Jason Isringhausen and Paul Wilson, were nicknamed Generation K, the Mets' trio of stud pitching prospects. But the last of Pulsipher's 13 Major League wins came 11 years ago. Since recently joining the Atlantic League Somerset Patriots, the man called Pulse is an impressive 3-1, nearly a generation since Generation K.
Oh yeah, and it takes me back to being a kid at this point in time, where you feel like you're out there just playing baseball and having a good time. So it's anytime you can get to that level, it's something that you cherish when you get to my age, where you've been through everything in between.
I don't like to compare myself to anybody. I just like to consider myself to be Bill Pulsipher, Major League Baseball player for the New York Mets, and if that's the way things work out, that'd be great.
But Tommy John elbow surgery would soon erode Pulsipher's effectiveness, ultimately shaking his confidence. At 36, he's now in his 19th year in and out of pro baseball, most spent in the minor leagues.
I mentioned to you a moment ago that coming here to Somerset, this is the 35th time in your career that you've changed teams, major or minor leagues. You were surprised at that.
Yeah, I know it had been a lot. I didn't know it had quite been that many. So it's, I don't know, I guess it's bad and good in a way. It's bad that you have to change all the time, but it's good that there's still teams out there that might say, hey, we'd like to give you an opportunity to come over here and see what you can do.
Bill, you've had more comebacks than the Stones, I think.
Yeah, I always joke around about it. I seem to pop up eventually, sooner or later.
Once his greatest salvation, the mound became Pulsipher's worst nightmare, his toughest foe, which for years Pulsipher failed to recognize and later refused to accept, was uncontrollable anxiety and depression.
Yeah, that was the most difficult part, when your safe haven's taken away from you, or the one place where you feel like you're comfortable and nobody can touch you, pretty much, where you feel like, hey, I can do anything out here. When that gets taken away, it's kind of, it takes you back quite a bit, because then you don't have that place where you feel like, all right, now I'm out by myself and I can be who I am, and it's kind of scary.
In 1997, Bill Pulsipher was on an injury rehab assignment for the Mets in AAA. But as he took the mound in Syracuse, a new feeling instead took control of him. And immediately Pulsipher knew that something was very wrong.
Years later, you said, the butterflies fluttered out of my stomach and into my arms, my legs, my neck, everything. My hands began to drip. It was freezing that night, yet sweat was pouring out of me. People in the stands thought it was so cool that Bill Pulsipher, Kid K phenom, was on his way back to the bigs, but he was nowhere and he wasn't coming back. The Bill Pulsipher everyone knew, I knew, was gone forever. That's scary stuff.
Well, that's the way I felt at the time, obviously, and that night there in Syracuse, I still remember it vividly, and that was like the beginning of many nights that were that, but it's the first one where you ever felt like, holy cow, man, I'm extremely nervous before this game, and I'd never felt that before. So yeah, it was scary, very scary.
After years of suffering, antidepressant medication finally has Pulsipher's psychological demons under control.
I'm matured, I understand myself a little bit better. I understand the way the world works a little bit better. I'm more grown up, and I'm still going to make mistakes in my life, but I understand things a little bit better, and I'm more mature.
Kansas City's Zach Greinke is among several major leaguers who've recently acknowledged they too suffer from anxiety or depression, including Atlanta's Rick Ankiel and Cincinnati's Joey Votto. But in Pulsipher's prime, admitting such problems was a baseball taboo, just as when Patriots manager Sparky Lyle was starring for the Yankees in the 1970s.
Now, honestly, Sparky, had Thurman Munson or someone said, Sparky, I'm feeling a little depressed, your reaction would have been what?
Probably this.
I think the fact that people are starting to open up and say, hey man, you know what, I really feel terrible when I'm out there. I feel very nervous or anxious, whatever word you want to use, it's all the same thing to me. And to be able to just talk about it, that in itself, without medication itself, is some sort of release.
I think it's a matter of having somebody that you can go talk to. Not that they're going to give you answers, but you got to have somebody else know what you're going through.
Pitching briefly in the majors, Somerset pitching coach Brett Jody endured his own anxiety.
Up and it is gone. Jose Cruz Jr.
I know myself, I talked to Bill just briefly, I had an anxiety problem with when there was a runner on first base. And I never made it well known because I didn't want the opponent to know about it. But something overcame me when there was a runner on first base that gave me a real anxious feeling, and I had to learn how to deal with that in my own way.
Pulsipher aspires to be a pitching coach, helping those like the Mets' Oliver Perez, whose unstoppable decline is very familiar.
What I see is I see me again a little bit, where I see a guy that seems like he's searching all the time. You know, his mechanics are either sped up or slowed down, or from start to start you see something different. So I definitely relate to him, and I have compassion for him.
Hopefully these young guys can look at him and just take away from it, just to keep working hard, keep playing the game the right way, and have a good mental attitude and positive outlook on things. And that's what he's done, and I think he's going to carry that into his coaching career if that's what he wants to do.
Don't be fooled. I had my bitter time for quite a long time, for quite a few years, but that was before I kind of maybe understood myself a little bit better. So I still love the game, man. I grew up on loving this game, and I'm going to go to my grave loving this game.
So this quest for baseball fulfillment still has a pulse. In Bridgewater, Joey Waller for the Jersey Sports Final.
Nice to see Pulse doing better and pitching well.